about some of the different types of workshops and trainings that we offer through Extension Food Science.
Yeah, so the main workshop that I kind of organize and run is called Better Process Control School, and that is for people who have one of those acidified foods like I was talking about with barbecue sauces and other types of foods that they want to make shelf stable. So that actually helps people understand what factors go into the food to make it shelf stable, how to formulate the foods, how to process the foods, and if they're doing something that does not have acids in it, so something that is either has a very low level of acid or just no acids at all, it's a very neutral kind of food. They have to go through a specialized process called retort canning, where basically you apply pressure and temperature to help get that food above a boiling point to kill off spores that could germinate and grow and produce a toxin in that food if it wasn't processed properly. So this workshop helps them understand some of the equipment operating parameters, formulations, how to make something shelf stable. And then some of the other ones that we do are so hazard analysis and critical control points training, HACCP training, as we call it. This is required for things like juices, meat and poultry, seafood. Other companies choose to comply with these regulations anyway because, while they don't have to based on a regulation, it's always a good thing to kind of figure out where your hazards are in your process and how you're controlling those hazards, either with thermal process or some other kind of process to reduce these hazards. And then the other one that we do quite a lot is called PCQI, and that stands for Preventive Controls Qualified Individual. And this trains people. It's very similar to HACCP in the sense that you're thinking about hazards, but you're really thinking about hazards in a broader sense. So instead of just focusing on biological, chemical, and physical hazards within the facility, you're really broadening it out to include things like sanitation, supply chain, allergens. So just taking that bigger snapshot of what the food looks like as it's coming into your company, and then as it leaves your company, what are you doing to control and document hazards. We also do a few that I'm not quite as familiar with. My colleague really leads those. So Produce Safety Alliance has one for complying with the produce safety rule. That is one that we do quite often. We also have water systems workshops, so focusing more on water and processing environments and how to control hazards and keep that water fresh and sanitary for food processing. So that's a bit about what we do kind of regularly. We also sometimes have special workshops. So we might have someone approach us and say, can you do a workshop on sanitation for aseptic processing? And, then we would design a workshop like that. So one workshop that I actually designed and ran a couple of weeks ago is a brewing workshop. So I noticed that a lot of people have the technical background, so they understand how to brew beer, how to produce it, and do it in a sanitary way. There's also a good amount of resources on things like legal and funding. So the gap I really noticed was things like creating culture in your tap room, doing things like creating impact on small budgets, understanding the market of beer processing, and how to expand your offerings to include more clientele. So you get the one that comes in and doesn't really like beer. Well, how do you really attract a broader audience and expand your selections in a brew house? So that was a lot of fun. And then the participants actually got to go around Athens. So we rented a couple of vans and shuttled them around Athens to visit 6 of our breweries. So we've got a range of scales from very small 2-barrel brew houses to 100+ brew houses with terrapin and creature comforts. So it's a scale from your neighborhood brew house all the way up to distribution and mass producing beer. So it was really cool to just kind of show everybody all those aspects and give them really hands-on experience with how they could scale their breweries.